Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. First tonight, AFL boss Gillon McLachlan has revealed the state will absolutely need a new stadium to support a Tasmanian team. Talks of a club relocating have been dismissed as he touched down in Hobart to meet with Jeremy Rockcliffe for the first time.
He might be nearing the end of his final season in the top job, but when it comes to Tasmania's AFL bid, Gillon McLachlan's legacy is unclear.
Are you confident you can deliver an AFL team in Tasmania?
We're looking forward to the chat today. We're working through a process and it'll be good to see the Premier today.
Making his way through the capital's airport, the league boss made his stance known on a new home for a potential club.
Is the stadium a prerequisite for the club?
There'll need to be a new stadium, absolutely.
The trip down south was earmarked for talks with the Premier as the pair emerged from an hour-long meeting on the same page.
I think we've got alignment about what needs to continue to be done over the 6 or 8 weeks to see if we can get something to put to our commission. And
we believe very much as a state government that we have got a very good and strong offer on the table.
The government's pledged $150 million over 10 years, but that offer might need some firming up to sway the final call.
I think it's a strong start. I'm not going to get into that, but I think what it is a strong statement by this government that they want a 19th licence.
As the view of alternatively relocating a club becomes clear.
Yeah, I think that the work being done is on a 19th licence, yeah.
With his predecessor never quiet in his support for the game, Jeremy Rockcliffe wants footy fans to know he can kick goals too.
$10 million a year for a decade says to the AFL, we are bloody serious about this.
Already propping up North Melbourne and Hawthorn for $8 million a year. Tasmania's AFL fate is expected to be revealed in August, when the submission is put before the League's Commission and club presidents.
Football believes that Tasmanians deserve a licence, but it also has a responsibility to the industry.
As the sheer scale of the plan begins to sink in.
If the deal's right for football, they'll support it. If it's not, they won't.
Thank you.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Public Service Management broke the law by targeting union employees during 2018 bargaining negotiations, according to the Administrative Tribunal. The state government slammed today for the play as ministers faced further grilling during budget estimates.
A landmark decision exposing dirty tactics employed by the state government.
This isn't bargaining in good faith. These are the tactics that are used by the worst possible employers.
This was purely and simply a scare tactic by the government that tried to stop our members from taking lawful industrial action.
Teachers and health workers are celebrating after the Civil and Administrative Tribunal found union employees were discriminated against by the state government during pay disputes in 2018.
We're now about to embark on another set of bargaining. The Premier has said he will negotiate in good faith, but there's a lesson to this and that he needs to keep his public servants under control.
A spokesperson for the government says the situation was unique, but they're committed to negotiating in good faith this time around. Staffing is also a challenge in the police force.
I think for the calendar year last year, we were sitting at 4.9, and up until April this year, we're averaging 5.2 separations a month.
21 additional officers are funded by the most recent budget. But next door, what's part of the budget was in dispute.
Mr Winter, I will remind you, of course, that the opportunity for GBE questions is during the GBE estimates.
Questions about troubled Tas racing repeatedly blocked by Estimates Chair Felix Ellis, saying those aren't for budget estimates.
But the budget actually puts around $30 million a year into Tas racing. That they are linked totally and completely.
The racing minister also revealing there's still no timeline for a new track in the northwest. Also revealed today, Tasmanian students are waiting 140 days to see a school psychologist. They're also waiting 108 days for a speech pathologist, with a third of those positions vacant across the state. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
An investigation into the tragic deaths of 6 children at Hillcrest Primary School last year is expected to continue for months. An update from Coroner Olivia McTaggart said a large amount of investigative work had already taken place, but evidence from WorkSafe regarding the equipment setup is yet to be completed. The coroner will then consult with relevant authorities, likely to include meteorology experts. It's hoped all evidence will be completed within coming months. A public inquest into the deaths will then follow. An unspeakable tragedy. That's how a coroner has described the death of a 4-year-old boy who was hit by a garbage truck outside his Newnham home last year. A report released today found the truck driver could not have been able to see the little boy who was riding his bike at the time. The coroner said while the boy wasn't wearing a helmet, even if he had been, it would not have saved him. He also found drugs, alcohol, speed and inattention were not factors in the incident. 80 Tasmanians have now lost their lives to COVID as the state hits another grim milestone in the fight against the virus. 624 new infections were recorded overnight. 37 people remain in hospital with one patient receiving treatment in intensive care. Back home, and Tourism Tasmania's CEO has announced he will step down in January after a decade in the role. John Fitzgerald has been commended for his commitment to the sector. He's led the organisation through COVID and played a large part in the state's successful Come Down for Air campaign. The next 6 months will see Mr Fitzgerald finalise a long-term plan for the industry. Also departing, Aurora Energy CEO Rebecca Cardos. Ms Cardos has been at the helm of the energy retailer since 2014 and will step down in February when her contract expires. The company has started recruiting for a new chief executive. The Bureau of Meteorology is warning of damaging wind gusts over the next 24 hours. They're warning the southeast and central regions will be affected.
The wind gusts, along with these winds overnight tonight, could be strong enough to bring down branches, shifts objects around in people's yards, and potentially just cause minor damage like roof tiles moving.
As an Arctic blast hits the state, snow could fall as low as 200 metres this weekend. Motorists are asked to be careful while driving, with snow possible on highways. And of course, Murph will have more later in the bulletin. Dark Mofo's red lights have taken over Hobart City again. While the Reclamation Walk warmed patrons up for the festival, the museum today unveiled its largest amount of exhibitions yet.
Reclaiming the night. Thousands taking to Hobart streets overnight for the Reclamation Walk. Mona Foma paying their respects to the traditional owners of the land. 3 new exhibitions then opening at Mona.
Across town between us and the festival, I think it's one of the largest art offerings we've ever had.
2 installations paying respects to Indigenous culture.
Essentially, as happened last year, it's a burnt-out hut in an environment. And I don't know that I need to say any more. I think you just need to go and experience it.
Exodus, Crying Country, a gentle nod to sustainability.
Indigenous people have lived sustainably, on country and with each other for thousands of years and thousands of generations. And if we were to take the time to listen to all First Nations people, then perhaps the solution to better ways of living and better ways of caring for country are right there in front of us.
Another installation, Phase Shifting Index, turns science fiction into art. It uses 7 videos that eventually all loop back together.
They're all set from 100 to 200 years in the future, but aesthetically they appear as though they're from about, say, 10 to 50 years in the past.
One aspect that hasn't changed is that Mona is as quirky as ever. Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
Queenstown's Mount Lyell mine is being prepared for reopening after positive exploration work by potential new owners. New Century Resources announced a 130% increase in reserves, which they say will provide a mine life of 10 years. More drilling will take place in the second half of this year. The company is currently evaluating whether to buy the mine from Vedanta Resources. A Launceston post office forced to close after being damaged during wild weather has come up with a new way for customers to collect their mail. A parcel hatch can now be accessed near the PO mailboxes off Cameron Street and will be open from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. this week while the building is being repaired. Australia Post says it's working as quickly as possible to restore normal operations. A hugely popular food event is set to make a bumper return. Agriculture will feature 16 events and more than 60 speakers focusing on food, agriculture and arts. The event will take place in August and comes after Launceston was named a City of Gastronomy.
Northern Tasmania is one of the greatest regions in the world for food production, primarily because our latitude at 40 degrees means that we have the daylight hours to grow the widest variety of crops.
And because of the festival's focus on local produce, it should not be impacted by what's happening in the rest of the country.
For me, it makes me happy knowing that I'm supporting someone local. But fundamentally, it's not just about local, it's about quality. And when it's local, it's quality.
The full event program released today with tickets now on sale. A new website showing off some of the state's best walking trails has been updated. The Greater Hobart Trails covers 6 local government areas and is now available on mobile phones. A sliding scale has been added, allowing visitors to search for tracks by difficulty and distance. The updates are aimed at making the website a one-stop shop for walkers, runners and people with disabilities who are looking for a cultural stroll or an adrenaline-filled ride.
Tasmanian cricket's favourite son is finally returning to the fold. Ricky Ponting is being tasked with mapping out the Hobart Hurricanes' first Big Bash trophy, starting with the new coach. Sinking his teeth into a new role, the homegrown hero sees winning a maiden Big Bash trophy as the perfect form of Ponting philanthropy.
I wanted to be able to give back to a state and a cricket organisation that's given me so much.
Ponting's official title is Head of Strategy, something he's honed as a commentator.
He's got a distinct weakness against fast bowling, especially when it's short.
And will put to good use when he crafts a champion combination, starting with the coach. Justin Langer's the man he wants.
Nothing's finalised with Justin yet, but I'll stay on him.
With the likes of Wade, McDermott and Short, Ponting likes the current playing list, but says overseas imports have been our Achilles heel.
Bring in a high-quality overseas spinner and then someone that could bat in the top order and potentially bowl another couple of overs of spin. I think that'd be the place that I'll be starting.
As for the club's culture,
if we can create an environment here where players can come and enjoy themselves and learn and get better, you know, money's not always the be-all and end-all in the game.
Ponting's tenure will be over 3 years. He'll retain his commentary commitments, but insists he's all in.
I'm not in half-baked, because if I'm in half-baked, I'm not doing myself justice, I'm not doing the team justice.
A player who used to dine out on opposition bowlers,
So he is happy with that one.
will be even happier if he can feast on the first Hurricanes crown. Clarence will have one less problem when it faces the red-hot Blues. After claiming 42 possessions against Lauderdale, Joby Harper's day job gets in the way this week. The firefighter's been rostered on Saturday. It's been claimed some niggle from the Southern Bombers only spurred him on.
Oh, there's always banter, yeah, absolutely. I mean, at state league level, you'd expect that each week, and they got one over us earlier in the year, and we've squared the ledger at this point.
For us, it's about being mindful of their strengths, but also really reinforcing ours.
That game's on at Launceston. And a Jack Jumpers trio is morphing into boomers for basketball's World Cup qualifiers. Jack Jumpers skipper Clint Steindl, along with Sam McDaniel and Jack McVeigh, will play in the 3-match series beginning later this month against China in Melbourne. Jack Jumpers assistant coach Jacob Chance will also travel with the side to work alongside head coach Brian Gourgian.
Good evening. Hobart recorded 9 today, 3 below the June average. Launceston and St Helens our top around the state with 14, Burnie 11 and Devonport 13 degrees. Some temperatures up to 6 below average. Smithton, Flinders Island and King Island all 13, Low Head, Friendly Beaches and Bushy Park 12, Strawn 11, Lyell Weenie swung around from -2 to 2 today. Areas of clear skies over the north and east today that cloud over the west brought some showers too. Mount Reid, the top to 3 p.m. with 10 millimetres. A cloud band over Western Australia swirls into a low south of Perth. A cold airfield is of course over our region with most of the continent cloud free. Tomorrow a broad area of high pressure extends ridges over the mainland. A trough will track over our northeastern area with another linked to a low near WA. The wind's cold southwesterly at 25 to 35 knots and up to 45 knots over southern waters with a 7-metre swell. So plenty to warn you about. A gale warning for all Tasmanian coastal waters with a strong wind warning for the Derwent Estuary and the Central Plateau Lakes. A severe weather warning for damaging winds over central and southeastern parts of the state. Also, an initial minor flood warning for the Huon River has been issued. A warning to sheep graziers for the Midlands, Upper Derwent Valley and southeast. 9 again for Hobart tomorrow with showers. 9 the top for Huonville, 9 the top for Campania with showers in the air. 12 the top for Launceston, a cloudy day. Devonport the same. Partly cloudy for Georgetown with a top of 11 degrees. A high of 11 also for Burnie and Strawn, showery in the west, 12 for Wynyard. And for the east tomorrow, a high of 12 degrees for St Helens. Swansea cloudy and 11, 9 the maximum for Port Arthur, a windy showery day. There's Saturday's forecast, showers and very windy again. Mainly fine over the northeast though. Snow later in the south to 200 metres. On Sunday, showers again more frequent over the west, central and south. Some hail possible and snow maybe to the 100 metre mark in the south. And on Monday, fine and partly cloudy apart from a shower over the west and King Island. Showers as well in Perth tomorrow along with Adelaide and Melbourne. Mostly sunny weather forecast for Sydney and Brisbane. 32 and thumbs up in Darwin. Partly cloudy, 8 right now in Hobart, 5 degrees in Launceston and currently 9 degrees in Devonport. Don't know what you're carrying on about earlier there, Kim. This is Tasmania. We don't care about rugby league down here. And by the way, go the Tigers.
When it suits you, Merv. Thank you very much. That is all your news for now. We'll have updates throughout the evening. Good night.